Welcome back to our St. Louis Blues rebuild in Franchise Hockey Manager 11. We now reach the beginning of the 2029-2030 season, and in 4 days we'll be playing against our rivals, the Colorado Avalanche. The question ultimately is, where does the league actually see our team here? And the best way to see that is the NHL preview. It's not foolproof, but it can always kind of dictate what actually happens. But currently, Buffalo is the favorite. The other ones are Senators, and we somehow found ourselves in the top three. That is pretty good. Currently, our strengths are goalie and right D, and our weakness are left wing and right wing still. So we haven't really been able to fix that, but our team is led by Robert Thomas, and Florida is also the dark horse as well. Currently, the scoring race looks pretty similar than what it always does, and same thing with the top defenseman. Doesn't really change throughout the first 10 years, to say the least. Same thing with goalies. There was one that kind of creeped in last season, but it does look like this season's going to be pretty much the same. But we'll take a look at the roster that we ended up having. We didn't make any adjustments. Unfortunately, there were players that I would have loved to have on our team, and we might also have wanted to trade for them, but a lot of players going on waivers. Even Mathieu Savoie ends up going to the AHL. We obviously can't claim him, but I mean, a player like that not being able to actually play in the NHL seems kind of odd unless it's a contract situation. But looking at our finances this year, currently 6.3 million in the black there, and then next season we're in the red, so we're gonna have to make some adjustments there. But most likely it's gonna be Josh Morrissey's last season with us, so we might end up getting rid of him early if we need to, but I feel as though next offseason we're definitely going to let him go, which will ease up a little bit on that. And we do have a decent amount of players that are going to be leaving as well. Sugart's probably going to end up jumping up next season. Owen back, probably his last season as well. He wants $6 million, and I just don't see us being able to afford that with the players that we have. We did bring in Noel Gunler, so we'll have to see how well he does for us. Currently only 3.5 stars, so not really hanging my hopes on him too much. Lafreniere also I do enjoy having on the team, but $6.5 million could be a bit too much. Even Thomas is going to have to be extended next season, but he'll probably be around 32 once the new contract ends up kicking in. So even someone like Baldock could be a trade casualty. I'm completely open with reshaping this team, even if we have to part ways with Martoni, even at 22. If we can find a better player, we're definitely going to invest on that. I don't even know why I did this. Dvorsky, $6.5 million. He'll probably be our fourth highest paid player next season. So even Dvorsky could be one of the casualties as well. I do like extending them a little bit earlier, but someone like Misa we can definitely keep around 3.5 is not excruciating, and Artemonov with only 2.5 is pretty good as well. But we'll look a little bit in terms of like the history of this team. Thomas now at 650 points. That doesn't seem like that much. And assist leader, he is top 3 as well. But Bennington still in the league actually. He's at 33, and he currently plays for Philadelphia Flyers. Did have a turn in Edmonton and then went to the AHL team for 1 season as well. So, I mean, our top goalkeeper is or goaltender, I guess, is on another team anyways, but we do realize that we had to part ways with them with the rebuild. Brett Hall is currently the top goal scorer. I don't see anyone really coming close to that list, so we'll take a look. Thomas is the only one that I end up seeing. Tarasenko still in the league, but I don't think that he comes close, and we're going to have to go all the way down here. Kyrou still in the league as well, but obviously not on our team, and I think it's going to be quite a while. Jake Neighbors is the next closest one with 285, which is not comparable at all. Baldock also at 265, but yeah, Baldock still at 26. I don't really see him hitting the top marks there unless he can kind of keep everything consistent. But not bad at all for our team though, but not really anyone kind of standing up that might end up showing the ropes for that. But we'll end up hitting continue. We'll get closer to the season starting, and we'll have to kind of see if some of the AHL players that we end up sending down end up actually getting claimed, which it didn't look like it did initially, but you never know. It can always do that. We do have some players that are rookies at the moment that we might end up bringing up into the NHL team. But for now, we're just going to let them develop maybe one season in the AHL. I think bringing in someone like Gunler might be a better idea. Stenberg, I feel as though we had him before. We didn't. Okay, so he ends up going for a third. It feels like some of these trades are also a little bit off. And I don't understand how Zibanejad could go on waivers at 36. Sabres place Owen Power too. That's wild. I'd rather just trade for him. What contract is he? 8 million. Let's see if we can do this. Nope, he doesn't want to go to us, so that doesn't really help. Because I would definitely have traded for him, even Barrico. Oh no, Barrico is traded, so nothing we can really do there. Connolly ends up getting traded. Jake Sanderson on waivers as well. How much does he make? Currently 8 million. He would come to us, so let's see. Obviously, we're going to want them to retain at least half of it. He's a lefty as well. That does bode well for us. I could see ourselves just getting rid of Casualty for next season. Where is he? Morrissey. I could see ourselves giving up to Morrissey. Yeah, they can't add that salary for 2 years. Kind of, doesn't it balance out? Let's see, 50-50. Obviously, I want to move it down as much as possible. I don't really see this benefiting us that much. It's hardly like they'll accept it. So why even bring them down? We'll give up a fourth. And they're not going to budge. So how can you even really send them down if that's the case? I don't know, it seems kind of odd to me. But either way, we'll just keep going with this season. Like I said, we're not going to end up playing the draft. We're not going to really show that anymore. We're just going to do off-season as one episode and kind of move forward with that. We'll do assistant setup line, so Palika now gets onto the lineup. Villeneuve at the top, Morrissey middle. I think I wouldn't mind switching it up like that. I think Gustin, we're going to have to give a bigger role this season. Gunler and Olsen. Still think Martoni's on the top for me. And I think Olsen should be here. Gunler, probably the bottom line is what I would put him as. Or even left wing. So Artemonov, Misa is currently second line. I do think we might want to. Too many screeners though, I don't like that. Screeners I don't find really as, not really as effective, but I don't know. I guess I'll leave it as is. I typically don't like to do that, but we'll kind of see how we end up starting off the season. We'll make adjustments as the season goes. So first game we won 6-2. So I guess the screeners do make sense. I personally don't like them though. So Dupont scores the first goal of the season. Meyer with his first, and then Lafreniere and Meyer again. Meyer doing pretty good. Interesting. Martoni gets his first in Bolduc as well. And then let's look. Augustin graded as a 74. So starting off with a 74 is pretty decent. We now turn our sights to Dallas. I don't know why we don't get a home opener to start things off though. But currently we're projected to probably be the top 3 team. So we're going to have to start acting like it throughout the whole season, not just the beginning. Augustin with 3 assists Neighbors with 3 assists so far, and Augustin with 2 goals against, currently towards the top of the league at the moment. Obviously, it's going to change the more that the players end up getting shutouts. But we now set our sights on to Dallas. Can we manage to get a win back-to-back? We do not, but we end up losing in regulation as well. The only goals were in the first. Misa with his first of the season, so at least he got that out of the way. I feel as though I thought he was one of the players that we ended up signing before, but 1-1. Dallas leading the way at 2-0. So at least we end up losing to probably one of the more top teams of this division, but I think they were at the bottom last season, so we'll have to kind of wait and see. And I know I could have probably just adjusted that, but back-to-back games, I don't like to really mess with anything, so see if we can manage to win against LA. We do 3-1, so 3 straight games away from home. Dupont with the second, Lafreniere scores. We do give up one in the second as well, and then Misa scores in the third. So not too bad. Cole Caulfield doing well. And at least Meyer's now developing to a left winger, which is kind of what we thought he would be. Got him with 2 wins. And yeah, he improves that left wing. I mean, he does look pretty good. He's already a 3.5 player. And I knew that I liked him from the moment that I saw that he was on our depth chart. So Palika was the one that ended up sitting out that last game. So 2-1-0. And yeah, Dallas 3-0. Jeez. Wild 2-0. So currently 2 undefeated teams in our division, and even in our conference is still 3. Does look like the West is probably going to be the team that ends up kind of running away with it throughout the regular season at least. Forsman 1.5 stars. He's at 20 though. Ryabov, I feel as though he was at a 5-star and now he's only 1.5. Nothing really jumping out. Orchovsky still hasn't really developed. Stewart, the new signing, is 1.0. Aspie increased his speed. And Max Penkins, currently 2 points in 2 games. So like I said, we're going to monitor him as much as possible. Now we're going to have to adjust this, unfortunately. And that's the best that we can do. We're not going to take any penalty if we can help it. But I know it kind of sucks. I keep forgetting to turn that off during the off season because obviously you don't need it through those weeks. You need it more so throughout the season, so you're just costing things for absolutely nothing. But yeah, we now play against Vancouver, and just hoping that we can get into the winning ways here. I'm going to change things up once again. I do typically like to keep the same play for most of it, and I don't know why Palik is being sat. I don't like that at all. Chris Farrow is getting the nod instead of him. That seems odd. Bernhoff even as well. I think it's because Bernhoff's improved and Palika hasn't. One of our first signings of the season. Who can play? I think Chris Farrow can play lefty, so I'm going to take off Morrissey just for that. Artemonov apparently sitting as well, and Olsen too. That seems crazy. So AI's making these suggestions, so I'm not going to necessarily fight with them at this point. I've done it throughout other saves, but this one I'm kind of relying a little bit more on the GM role as opposed to necessarily the coaching role. We end up losing in Vancouver 5-4. Start off strong with 2 wins though, only to drop 3 goals in the second. Dupont with the only goal there as well. And then Neighbor scores in the third, but ultimately getting outscored in that as well. Didn't even force overtime, which is also the sad part with that. Currently 500 though. Does find ourselves in 5th place, and we now have to beat the Vegas Knights, who are in 3rd place and currently undefeated at this moment. So if we can manage to end up taking that 0 there, I will be definitely happy with that. Either Misa is now suspended for 3 days or 3 games. That is annoying. And now Chris Farrow. Okay, so Chris Farrow is the one that's going to sit. And we're going to keep Wall here. Can we give them their first loss at home? We win 5-4. and I knew it was going to be overtime too. Dvorsky with his first, Neighbors with his second, and we do give up a decent amount of third, but ultimately the goals that we scored earlier on mattered. Vernhoff and Neighbors end up tying it up, despite the lead though too, which is kind of annoying. Gunler with the overtime winner is exactly what I want to see. Toronto 3-2-1. We now face off against them at home as well, so I don't mind that. Penguins now 0-2-1-1. Geez, not doing well, but Flyers, nice to see that they're currently doing decent. I wouldn't say great, but decent is probably the word that I would use to describe them. Face off against Toronto. Let's see if this team can manage to win this one as well. Woll against his former team, and we do win 2-1 in regulation, so they don't even get a point there. Artemonov with his first and second, the lone scorer of this game. Joakim Kamel. I'm surprised they end up having a lot of the good players there, but they end up getting around 500 now in 7 games. 4-2-0. I feel as though in other divisions that would probably be good enough to be second place, but currently in a wildcard spot though. But we're going to be fighting against Colorado this season. Dallas gets their first loss, and so does Minnesota. Now we're having to face off against Calgary. We're still home though, so 3 straight games. We'll have to kind of take that into consideration once we end up starting to lose, because you know it's destined to happen at some point when we end up playing more games at home. So we're going to give it to Gus and see if we can manage to get the win here. We do 9-3. Do give up 3 though. I don't like that. Jekko playing against his former team. He does score against us. Artemonov and Karsic and Thomas score in the first as well. Gunler, Neighbors, and Thomas score in the second. And then Gunler, Palika, and Bolduc end up scoring as well. So I'll take the 9-3s. That's alright. And Dvorsky is hurt. How hurt is he? So 2-3 weeks. So we're going to put him in the IR, but we are going to bring up someone. I do want to see what Max Penkins can do. I'm going to give him pretty much top opportunities here. We're not going to delay anything. And we do find ourselves now in first, though, but obviously 2 games at hand over Dallas, and we immediately drop down to third. But currently level in points, so I don't mind that at all. 5-2-0 is a pretty good start. 3-5-1. Geez, Philly's not doing well either. Pittsburgh's not doing well. Montreal currently at the top, though. I mean, they did play the other day, and Line ended up getting a hat trick, which is pretty crazy. We'll adjust this a little bit. We'll put Penkin probably close to the top line, I would say, if not the top. And where's Penkin? Penkin's not starting, apparently. He will be. We'll take off, for the time being, probably Misa. I'll take off Misa just for this game, because there's going to be a back-to-back anyways. And Penkin, I mean, he's good enough to play on the third line. I guess Romani could have been taken down. I'm going to put Penkin on the top, though. See what opportunities he gets. Can we win this one? We don't. 3-1. That was a terrible idea. We end up conceding in the first, and then Bolduc with the lone goal, assisted by Artemonov and Thomas. That kind of sucks. But Penkin probably didn't play as well as what we hoped. But 8 games in, 5-3-0. We now have to shake it off and face off against Winnipeg, and then go to Utah right after. So 2 divisional games, and we just have to dust ourselves off. Nothing you can really do here, but obviously just play better. So Gussen's going to get the start here. Can we win away from home? 5-1, so yes we can. Neighbors with the first goal. Dupont, Neighbors, and Romani in the second period, and then Owen back scores in the third to get his first after 10 games or 9 games. That's a little bit of a slow start. So, I mean, I wasn't even really adjusting back to the bottom line, but that isn't necessarily the start that I hoped for him. But we now turn our sights to Utah. We're currently with 10 points, so everyone's pretty close, all in all. But we'll end up adjusting everything back to where it's supposed to be, and not the back-to-back game. But I will give the nod to Augustin again. Gonna have to trust him just a little bit. And we get shut out. I wouldn't really say that it's his fault. I'm not even going to go into any of that. They do have Cole Sillinger, which is kind of weird, and a player named Bieber, which is kind of cool. 52 grade is not ideal. 540 save percentage. Oof. He does have 4 wins, though, but that is not a good start for him. Yeah, definitely going to have to go back to the drawing board on that one. A little bit rough, to say the least, with Augustin. But 4 of our 6 wins has come at his glove and blocker, so can't really hate on him too much. But yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a rough season. He probably also has at least 2 of the losses as well. But we'll get more into that after Morrissey places 1,000th game, which obviously is a pretty cool accolade as well. Most of them being for Winnipeg, I believe. And I don't think Penkin got the start again. Penkin only with 2 starts. I'm going to take him off, Romani. I'm going to take off Pekarsic for him then. I'll put Misa on the bottom line. We'll leave it at that. Martoni going to go at the top as well. If it ever lets me. There we go. We now face off against Vegas, again away from home. We do win 2-1. Gunler ends up scoring and Bulldog scores, so Penkin still non-existent there. Maybe his time has run out in the NHL this season, but we'll give him probably one more start against Edmonton. Edmonton's 7-3-1. We did at least win that one, so I can't really be too mad. And then we'll face off against Seattle immediately following. So we're going to keep the same team on the road as we did the first game there. They're wise to us. 2-0 McDavid with only his second, and Benson is scoring. They have Benson. He has 17 assists, though. And only 2 goals. That's crazy. Zach Benson, how do they get him? They traded a second-round pick for him. Not bad at all. Contract-wise, $4 million. We did have Benson on our Flyers team, and it was hard letting him go, but ultimately we end up having to at some point. And Wall actually doing pretty good, but I think we're going to have to now switch to Augustin here. Morrissey also injured, so he won't be able to play this game. Yeah, Wall already got the start here, so Augustin's going to now play against Seattle. I think they're at the bottom. They're currently, they only have 5 points, so we should be able to win this one. I hope. 6-3 loss. It's the first period that gave it up. So we conceded 3 in the first. We got 2 back in the second. Romani and Neighbors end up scoring. And different Villeneuve scores for them, and then Meyer scores a shorthanded goal. But ultimately, we got destroyed in that game. And you know what? I typically don't do this. I'm going to agree with the criticism. And Neighbors is suspended for 4 games. Yeah. They're a terrible team. And is Gunler hurt too? Yeah, Gunler's hurt. Sorny, I'm going to just put you into IR. I'm going to have to shift things around a little bit. Morrissey with a groin strain. I'm going to bring up Stenberg. And I'm going to bring up Aspie as well. And I'm going to move down Penkin. I don't think he was playing too well. Yeah, 5 games and -2 is not ideal, to say the least. Ricard, we could bring him up as well. No, we do have enough dressed at the moment. The suspension's kind of the tough part for us. We'll end up adjusting it once we face off against Tampa, though. But 7-6-0 is not the start that I thought a top 3 team should have should have been having, but I mean the season is very long, so there's no reason why we can't kind of bounce back there. Morsi now apparently back, but we'll end up letting the AI take care of that one. I still do want to give Augustin as many starts as I can, but I also want to win. Wall with an 83 grade. 72 is not as bad though. We now face him off against home, and we do win. We do face off against Tampa at home. I don't know why I butchered that one. Misa scores his third, fourth, and fifth, so he gets a hat trick, and then Thomas ends up scoring his third, ultimately winning 4-3 in regulation. Not too bad. Does bump us up to second place there, but obviously Dallas can make it a contest there for sure. And yeah, Misa three goals in 16 minutes. Is anyone else going to end up getting the nod? Yeah, Stenberg actually is playing in Olsen. Olsen wasn't that one. But obviously it's going to change. Yeah, Aspie now taking a seat. And yeah, Wall's going to get the start against Winnipeg. Now, I hate that we end up having to play away from home here. We should make it contested here. We did win the first one. I don't know why we're playing two in a row. We do lose 6-1 though, so it goes the opposite way, and we concede one extra one. Vernhoff with a lone goal in the first period. It's not at all what I want to see though. That is rough. Against Winnipeg, no less. They're not even a good team. I do like this. They did just add this, so it does remind me to do this. So Misa and Bolduc apparently now have probably squashed it after another month, and then Artemonov is the next one. I don't even know why I have harmony issues at the moment, but apparently we do. We'll face off against Nashville as the last game, and then we'll kind of dive into the stats, but 8-7-0 is a bit rough. I mean, we'll probably end up coming back in the new year. I think after the Christmas break, we'll end up playing, and then we'll play another one probably after the trade deadline, and probably towards the end of the season. So usually when there's like 20 games left, we'll probably play the last 10 and kind of see where this team goes, and then play the playoffs and take it that way. So let's set everyone up here. Give Augustin one more shot here. Does look like Wall did have a bad game, and it did bump him back down. 4-3 loss, damn it. In regulation 2, Luke Hughes now on Nashville. How do they get him? And he won the cup last year. He was traded for Tomasino. That's not a terrible trade. Stenberg gets his first, Villeneuve with his first as well. It took so long for that last one there. And then Bolduc ends up scoring, but ultimately we lose in regulation, which is kind of rough. Does bump us down to 5th place, and not the start that I was hoping. Currently pretty close in terms of points though. We can easily come back into this. Once we end up getting our footing, I feel as though we're making things a lot more difficult on us. Cameron Lund gets traded for 4th. That is what the going rate for 4th is. That is wild. So we'll look at how well everyone's playing and kind of make the adjustments probably before the next episode. Neighbors currently at the top with 13 points in 12 games. Bolduc with 13 and 16, so not bad in terms of points. Thomas with only 10 though. And then Lafreniere with 9, Dupont with 8, Meyer with 8 and 16 games. So he's been playing most of the games too, which is pretty good for the rookie. Vernhoff with 8, Misa with 7. So despite scoring 3 goals in one game, definitely not consistent at all. Artemonov with 7 and Martoni only with 5. Yeah, something needs to change there for sure. Aspie ends up getting a point, and Stenberg got a point within their limited amount of games. Romani not really playing that much either. Graded around 60, 58 for Morsi. So yeah, Morsi could be on his last legs for sure. Goalie stats though, interesting. Wall with a 915 save percentage, 4-3-0 within 7 games. Augustin's played more than him and has a worse record, 4-5-0. How many chances are we going to keep giving this guy? His potential is pretty wild. So I don't know if we trade him. 897 save percentage is not good enough for me. Maybe for a backup, but I still expect it to be in the 900 mark. But ultimately, we might have to make a decision before next episode or even next season whether or not we want to keep Augustin if he can't deliver when we need it. Maybe we need to get a better defenseman other than Morrissey, but time will tell. So we'll leave it at that. We'll come back for probably the new year. We'll do it after the Christmas break and play a couple more games of that, see if there's any updates, and we'll kind of take it from there. So hopefully you guys like this series. Leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and thank you for watching. Until next time.